Arizona casinos open back up. Las Vegas is still closed. The recall for Steve Sisolak seems to be dead in the water, even after they tried to sue for more time and were told no. There was a big old earthquake in Tonopah, but that's like 200 miles away from here, so no, we didn't feel it. And Sisolak said a bunch of stuff, but didn't really say anything at all yesterday, except for shaming us if we don't wear a mask. My name is Steven, and I am not leaving Las Vegas. I'm a Vegas blogger. Let's talk about the news. One of these things is very complicated, and it might get a little bit political because you have to follow a trail of things, and I'm sorry about that. But hey, listen, I'm Steven. I'm not leaving Las Vegas. I'm a Vegas blogger. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit the bell for future notifications, and if you guys want to participate, you can head on over to Patreon, where you can be in the credits and see early videos that I do. If you guys want to, I'll get other content there too. If you guys want to do the merchandise thing, or you can be on our nightly live streams. Tonight at 7:45, I'm going to be on the Las Vegas Strip. I haven't done that for so long. The strip walks are not my favorite thing, but you guys like them, and I think we should go explore it before it eventually opens up, don't you think? And make sure you do, like I say, comment, hit the bell for notifications, and all that good stuff too. So the news is the news. What's the news of the day? Well, Arizona casinos have been reopening. A handful of them reopened yesterday, May 15th. And there's lineups, and they figured the lineups would only be for the first part of the morning, but the lineups lasted all day. A handful of Arizona casinos open. Some are still remaining closed. They have the machines turned off, no fancy plexiglass shields. And now everybody's wondering if this is just people with pent-up aggression to get out of their house and enjoy what they like to do, spending their stimulus checks, or if this is going to be a consistent thing where the economy is not as bad as people think it is in some parts, and people are going to support the casinos. Of course, there's only 50% capacity. Some of the hotels are not maybe opening up the hotel rooms. That's all based on the demand. But one thing's for certain, it does look like Arizona sees a huge demand for casinos. I happen to think that some of those people might come to Las Vegas if they were given the opportunity, considering Arizona's not that far of a drive from Las Vegas, and some people may even fly. But like the article in the Review Journal points out, this is all based on the fact that those are mostly locals that attend those casinos. Vegas relies heavily on people flying in internationally and people from all over the place coming here. So who knows what Las Vegas's future looks like. But I know that the locals here want to go to casinos, and I know that there's 2 million of us, and I know that there's a couple million in the whole state that would fuel those casinos up in Reno if they would just open. And we'll get back to that in a minute. We'll talk about what Sisolak said about when those casinos will open in a few minutes. There was an earthquake up in Tonopah. Tonopah is a little mining town on the 95, a little bit north and west of here. It's a cool little place that if you ever come to Nevada and you have a car and you're willing to drive, you should definitely go to. You'll see a lot of history in these areas, and it just shows that Nevada is very varied with lots of different landscapes and cool places. This was a 6.5 magnitude earthquake, and before you ask, like everybody else on my Facebook and my text messages, no, we didn't feel it out here. It happened at about 4 in the morning yesterday. It was a big enough deal that it made national news because of its magnitude. The local authorities up in Tonopah, the Nevada Highway Patrol, and all these state troopers, they said basically there was some cracked windshields, no significant damage except for the 95, the main highway that runs between here and up into Reno and Lake Tahoe. It actually cracked open, and they fixed it, and everything is good. So thankfully nobody was hurt up in Tonopah. But it was an event, and it was a thing. Now, we have two big Governor Sisolak deals to talk about right now in the video. This will be the meat and potatoes in most of the video. I'm going to be looking at my phone a few times to read some stuff off to you. And basically, there's two things. Number one, there was a recall for Steve Sisolak. This was something that existed before the whole entire C-19 pandemic broke out. So this was something that was going for a long time. Back in February 14th, Fight for Nevada, which is a independent group of people, filed a petition with the Nevada Secretary of State, I think it was, or the proper authorities. Let's see who they filed their lawsuit with. Again, this is complicated. I'm just going to read some things to you. They filed a lawsuit against the Nevada Secretary of State, Barbara, I can't even say it, Sagavsky, to get more time. So they filed it originally there. They needed 243,995 signatures to get a recall election for Governor Sisolak. If not familiar, a recall election is when we basically say, okay, enough of the people that voted for the guy don't want him anymore, so we're going to have another election. You remember when they did this in California? You remember they've done this up in Wisconsin. Recall elections are part of the process in the United States. It allows people a do-over, essentially. It doesn't mean Steve Sisolak won't be governor again. It just means he has to run all over again based on what's happening right now. And this was before C-19. So people were upset. They didn't like the guy, apparently. More apparently not. They actually went and had until May 14th, which was Thursday, in order to get their signatures. At the time, they didn't have enough signatures. So what they did was they had a lawsuit against the Secretary of State, and they asked the Secretary of State for more time. They argued that they wanted the time from the time on March 12th, when the emergency declaration was put out by Systolic. They wanted that time to May 14th. So essentially 2 months and 2 days more in order to get their signatures. Their argue was that when people were told it was an emergency, they needed to stay at home. Everybody, of course, flipped out, and it was very difficult for them to go and get their signatures. They were setting up areas in Reno, areas in Las Vegas, going all around rural Nevada to try to get signatures of people. They couldn't obviously do that. We weren't supposed to be leaving our houses for the most part. All the businesses were closed. Only the essentials were open, they argue. Well, a federally appointed judge, his name is Richard Bulwer. He was appointed by Obama, and I'm only pointing that out because people are going to wonder that, okay? I'm not saying that there's a conspiracy going on here, but that's who appointed him. He argued that they will lose, the lawsuit motion has been denied. He argued that they didn't have enough signatures to start with on March 30th. On March 30th, they had somewhere around 15,000 signatures. The lawyers, the attorneys for Fight for Nevada, fired back and said that we had momentum before this all kind of got the rug pulled out of all the businesses and everybody leaving their houses. He argued that it wouldn't have mattered because they didn't have enough signatures, only 15,000 out of the 243,995 that they needed. I would actually say that I would argue with that judge being level-headed, because March 30th to April 30th, 45 days more, it was a kind of a hope and a prayer that they would go from 15,000 to 243,995 signatures. But that being said, the judge did point something out that was intelligent. He said, look, you can always file again. You already have the addresses and names of 15,000 people that do want to do this, and they have lifted the orders, and we are lifting more orders as we go, or the phases, the stay-at-homes. We are opening more things, so you could always reapply. So the fight for Nevada may not be over yet. That judge made a good point about, not having more than 15,000 signatures in only 45 days to basically blast a home run grand slam right out of the park and get 243,995. So for right now, the recall election for Governor Sisolak is over. But then, speaking of Sisolak, yesterday at 3 p.m., with very little notice, Sisolak said about 11 in the morning, I'm going to be on the stream at 3 p.m. At 3 p.m., he spoke. He didn't really say all that much. Guys, I hear a lot of people saying things like, well, this YouTuber said that this is going to open on June 22nd, and I called the hotel, and the hotel said that I'm going to be able to stay, and they're taking reservations for June 1st, and this person said that, and that person said that. When it comes down to when this whole thing opens back up, you have to know the following. The governor is going to do what the governor is going to do. He says he's basing it on health experts. The president of the United States is putting pressure on the governors to open the states, but he's letting them do what they are doing. He's doing that because he knows the economy has to be open, and he's reminding them, we gave you a lot of resources. Nevada just got about billions of dollars out of a new bill that was signed yesterday. I'll talk about that in a video coming up too. So they are trying to open the states, but Sisolak is going to do what Sisolak is going to do. And for right now, he said nothing is changing until at least June 1st. So since nothing is changing in terms of phase one, the casinos won't be open until at least June 1st or June 2nd. And even then, it's likely that they're going to be having a little bit of time and leeway. It's hard to just open a casino just like that. I learned this when they opened up the state to non-essential of retail last Saturday, and I tried to go to stores, and none of the stores were open because they just didn't have the resources to do it that quickly. Learning about it at 3 p.m. on a Thursday and opening up at 9 a.m. on a Saturday, that's a logistical problem that they just can't really take a crack at properly. So a lot of the stores stay closed until Monday or Tuesday. So when they do open up, I will tell you guys about it. When the governor does speak and he says we're going into phase two, and in phase two we can open up the casinos, then I'll tell you guys about that. Now, the other question is this, with Governor Sisolak speaking. The Nevada Gaming Control Board has said that hotels can open some restaurants, but they can't open up the casinos. And I don't even know if they can open up the hotel rooms. So you have hotel rooms that are open right now. They stayed open. Most of them that are not in casinos have been open. Places like Hilton, Grand Garden Inn, Marriott Residences, timeshares, they've been open the entire time, right? So we'll do a separate video on this altogether to talk about whether or not these hotels should open up without casino operations. That might be interesting for you. But at the same time, nothing's going to happen until the governor says what the governor is going to say, which is, yeah, we have the go-ahead, we have the all clear, the Gaming Control Board is okay to turn back the slots, the tables, and everything at this date and this time, and then that's when you're safe to come to Vegas, do your vacation, have your gambling, do your thing, and have a blast. Until then, it's all just ambiguity. You got to take everything with a grain of salt, unless you're looking at, pictures of the Arizona state governor saying they're going to open the casinos on the state, or the Nevada governor says it opens on the state. Well, Arizona is not a very good example of that because it's all native gaming, but you get the picture of what I'm saying. Until you see the authorities say when it's going to open, you don't know if it's going to open. So be wishful, be happy that we are opening up our retail slowly here, and then that's a test, that's a gauge for what's going to happen with the casinos. But I don't want you to be too optimistic because some other YouTuber or some other Facebook post or some other hotel employee told you over the phone that they're going to be taking reservations for this specific date, because no one knows that yet. Woo, that was a mouthful, and that's your news for today. My name is Steven. I'm not leaving Las Vegas. I hope you join me on the live stream, 7:45 Vegas time. I'm going to go down to the Strip and check things out. I'm a little bit congested today, so if you got to the end of the video, thank you for watching me. I am also on day 3 of no caffeine, and I'm feeling better than I was last night, but it comes in waves. Caffeine is like the hardest thing you can quit in your life, I'm telling you people. Very addictive stuff. If you want to be in the credits of the video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell for the future notifications. You guys can be on Patreon if you want to be in the credits of the video. You guys can go over to the Facebook group, or you guys can just email me with the links below. Now's the time of the video where I say 3, 2, 1, click. So 3, 2, 1, and here we go. Click.